Hello, welcome to the Inherent Birth, Gentle Power Birthing webinar. We're going to be talking today about how to create your calm birth experience. So let's get started. So welcome. So who am I? I am Anissa. I'm the mother of 3 girls. I'm a doula, an antenatal teacher, and a breastfeeding counselor. And I am also the founder of Inherent Birth. So feel free to send me any questions if you have any at info@inherentbirth.com. If you feel like you have any questions or concerns after this free webinar, feel free to get in contact with me about any questions that you have. So intro, let's get started. Why are you here today? So you're here to enjoy this free webinar where you will benefit from tips on how to have a more gentle birth experience. So you can take these tools away and you can implement them into your own situation, and hopefully you'll get a lot of benefit from them. So what will you gain? You'll gain clarity, insight, and a special offer at the end. So stick with us to the end, and hopefully you will really enjoy what we have on offer today. What's next? Sit back with a pen and paper to take notes and relax. So this is very relaxed environment. Just take it easy, take in the information, apply it to your situation in whatever way it applies to you. And obviously, this is not medical advice, so anything you are going to implement, make sure you seek some medical advice from your care provider. So first things first, what is a gentle birth experience? We're talking about a gentle birth, but what is it? Many people assume only a drug-free, natural birth can be a gentle birth. The truth is, a natural birth doesn't necessarily mean a gentle one. Here are some factors that build upon a gentle birth. So before we just get into those factors, I want to expand on this a little bit. Sometimes we have a preconceived notion of exactly what we want our births to be like, and if it doesn't go to the letter, if it doesn't go to the T, if it's not exactly as we imagined, we can end up feeling disheartened or dejected. The thing with preparation and preparing for your birth is to understand that birth is an unpredictable life event. One of the first things that birth teaches us as a parent, as a mother, is that we are not in control of everything. We can be prepared, we can be centered, we can be focused, but we also have to be fluid. And by that I mean able to adapt to the situation around us. Now, preparing for a gentle birth experience, a powerful birthing experience, is doing just that, preparing yourself for anything that comes up within that birth, being grounded in the knowledge that you've got with you, being grounded in the decisions that you know you'd like to make in whatever situation will come up. Having that as your base and being fluid around all that comes with birth. That is how you're able to really gain the benefit of having a gentle birth experience. So let's get into it. Confidence. For you to have a gentle birth experience, you have to feel confident in what's happening, around you, what's happening to you, in what you're doing. You have to have confidence in your body and your body's ability to birth your baby. Care. You have to feel cared for, cared about. You know, we talk about the love hormone, oxytocin. Well, that does come up when you have those feelings of care, of love, of connection going on. So we definitely need the care factor going on within the birth. Catered for, definitely. The mother has to feel catered for. Her needs need to be met by those around her. Consent. Whatever happens, there has to be consent. It has to be something that the mother has agreed to happening. You cannot have anything happen or do anything without the consent of the mother or the person who is in receipt of the action. Centered, the woman has to be centered within herself for her to be able to truly benefit from her gentle birth experience. She has to be grounded with the knowledge that she's put before herself. She has to be centered. And coping mechanisms. For a gentle birth experience, you need to be able to employ some coping mechanisms that help you deal with the pregnancy and the labor and everything that comes with motherhood, to be honest. You have to be able to employ some coping mechanisms that will help you get from point A to point B and make that journey a lot smoother. So there are 5 steps to a more gentle birth. And the first step is exercise and nutrition. Yes. Exercise and nutrition help the woman to be centered. And this is in the physical sense of being centered. Exercise and nutrition are 2 of the most important variables a woman has control over to encourage better birth outcomes for herself and her baby. Now, giving birth is like a marathon event. It is enormous. It's absolutely huge. And the amount of pressure, the amount of effort that's exerted by your body, it is tremendous. So we need to prepare in the best way possible. Now, like for any other marathon event, you would prepare daily, you'd have your exercise, you'd eat well, you'd stay hydrated. The same is true for birth. Going into birth and pregnancy, you need to make sure you're keeping your body grounded, ready, and centered by feeding it nourishing things, by exercising it and keeping it in optimal form. That will help you cope with the demands of labor. That will help you cope with the demands of pregnancy. So in order to keep up with it, you have to put in something. And that input variable, those input variables are your exercise and your nutrition. You need a balanced, varied diet that takes into account all of your food groups, all of the vitamins, minerals, nutrients that are very important during this time. Specifically, I'll mention protein, for example. You might want to have a look at the brewer diet. There are many different things out there that you can have a look at that talks about nutrition and exercise. Exercise is a fantastic way of improving the circulation for mother. It might help alleviate some of the tensions that she might be facing or that you may be facing during pregnancy. It can help alleviate minor aches and pains. Obviously, nothing over the top, no contact sports. And if you're not somebody who has been involved in any type of exercise before being pregnant, you'd want to start off very slowly. It's not a time to jump into anything. Pregnancy is not a time for heavy exercise if that has not been your norm. And it's not a time for dieting. It's time for balanced eating. Right, so we have some links here that you can have a look at. And it talks about some exercises that you can do to help strengthen your core and your muscles, the vitally important muscles that we need to function in the best way for carrying our babies. So your pelvic floor muscle that supports your organs and helps support your baby. These articles talk about what you can benefit from by doing different exercises. Okay. So again, 5 steps to a more gentle birth. Step number 2 is birth affirmations and your mindset. That is equal to being confident and connected. Now, confidence is vitally important. You really need to feel like you can do this. If you keep telling yourself, oh my gosh, this is so hard, I can't do this, it's going to be terrible, it's going to be dreadful. And if you don't feel connected with yourself, you're not in tune with what you're able to do, what you're able to handle, the things you like and the things you don't like. If you're not in tune with that, it might make the journey a lot more difficult than it has to be. There is a strong bond between the mind and the body. What we think becomes who we are or what we do. So if we think we aren't capable, if we think we cannot cope without having specific things around us, then that might become our reality. We have to work hard from pregnancy to really build a connection between our inner strength and our abilities to birth. We really have to become confident in our bodies and our body's ability to birth. So this is a time of connection. This is a time of confidence. This is a time of power. Right, we're going to have a look a little bit into this. We've got a small activity. So what I would like you to do is to write down 3 fears you have about your pregnancy or birth, okay? And you are going to follow the exact example that I'm about to show you with your own fears that you have. So delete the fear that I've put in, and you can replace it with a fear that is specific to you. I'm going to give you an example. Now, an example is, birth is so painful. This is a fear that many women have. Okay, birth is so painful. Okay, now what I would like us to do, we're going to assess why you have these feelings or thoughts and the story behind it. Why do you believe this is true for you? So now, if you believe birth is so painful, I'd like you to really have a think about it. Why do you think birth is such a painful event? Is it because things that you've seen around you in the media, maybe? Is it because of stories that you've been told? What is it that has enabled you to have these thoughts or this thought process? Okay, what is the story behind it? Okay, now why do you believe this is going to be true for you? What about it has become your truth? Okay, now what we're going to do, so I'm going to let you have a minute to just sort of jot a few things down and have a think about that. Give you a minute to have a real think. What are some of the fears that you've had around your pregnancy, around your birth? What are some of the things that you find your mind constantly flickering over? So just jot down 1 or 2 at the moment. You can always come back to this. You're going to have this recording. Now, we will rewrite an affirmation to reference the points above. Okay, so now we're going to write an affirmation that's going to directly relate to the point that you've made. Now, this is the one that I've come up with for birth is so painful. My affirmation would be, birth is powerful and I am strength. The sensations I feel during labor are from me and and the power I have within. I'll repeat that. Birth is powerful and I am strength. The sensations I feel during labor are from me and the power I have within. So can you see what we've done here? We haven't taken away from the fear that you have. We're not going to diminish the fear that you have. We're going to address it and address the core behind it. And we're going to come up with some reasoning for it too, and something to give it a bit of backing. So we haven't said that birth isn't painful. We're not going to dismiss your fear. We're going to say birth is power and I am strength. You are stronger than what it is you're going to go through. The sensations I feel during labor are from me and the power I have within. So this will give you the feeling of being able to overcome anything that comes your way. It's about being fluid with whatever comes towards you. It's not about a rigid idea or a rigid ideology about anything. It's about being prepared for whatever is to come. Okay. Again, now, 5 steps to a more gentle birth. Number 3, support team and birthplace. That's equal to being cared for and catered for. What do we mean by this? Every person present at your birth is an intervention. It's imperative you ensure they are a positive intervention. What do I mean by that? Everybody's presence, every person, your midwife, your doctor, anybody, your doula, your partner, anybody that's in that room is an intervention. Okay? They can either bring positivity or negativity to your birth. They can either be too noisy, they can make your birthplace feel crowded, they can make you feel under pressure, under stress, they can make you feel peaceful, they can make you feel calm, they can make you feel loved and cared about and your environment respected. Now, you need to think about the type of environment you would like to be in and the people that will support that. I've worked alongside many women who had chosen not to have, some people they chosen not to have their partners in the room, and some had chosen not to have their mothers in the room, for example, because they thought the energy that that person would have brought would not have been conducive to the kind of birth experience that they would have wanted. So for them, it was important to preserve their environment, and that is how they did it. So now I ask you, what is the kind of atmosphere you'd like at your birth? And who are those people who are best to support you in that way? So you have a think about that. What kind of environment would you like? Who would be best to suit that environment? Okay. So parts of your birth team to consider. We have a midwife, your OBGYN, your partner, your mother, or a friend. And more often than not, a doula would be there to support the whole birth team. That's why we have the doula here on the other side. Okay. So a midwife is a professional is whose speciality is physiological birth. Okay. So if you know you'd like a natural birth, or you're a low risk mom and you'd like a low intervention birth, your option would more than likely be to have a midwife with you. You'd have an OB/GYN if you are more high risk, maybe, depending on the country that you're in. I know some models of care, it's your gynae would be the one who would deal with most of your antenatal care. In places like Saudi Arabia, that's the case. Now, if you're over here in the UK, you'd only see an OB/GYN if you had a problem. So again, your partner, you need to decide, are you and your partner on the same page in regards to birth? Would they be a supportive person to you? Are there things that you need to deal with between you and them before you get to the birth to make sure it's a peaceful setting? Your mother, the same thing goes for your mother. The relationship between you and your mother, or you and a friend, how would they best support you? Are they conducive to having a positive birth experience, or the kind of experience that you are looking for? And again, here we have doula, because a doula can help support everybody on this other side here. The doula is there to provide physical, emotional, and informational support for the mother, and to really just help bring that the calming presence to your birth, and be there to provide unbiased support for the mother. So this is why the doula is over here, because she can help support this whole list on this other side. So it's for you to decide if that's something that you'd like to look into, if you feel that it's right for you in your birth. Doulas can be available for natural births, for cesareans, for home births, for hospital births. Doulas are very flexible and can be there to provide you unbiased support for any setting. So you might want to have a look at some local references for wherever you are. I know, like if you're in the UK, you can have a look at Doula UK, the Doula UK website. If you're in the Middle East, you can have a look at the Amani Birth website. I know they have practitioners worldwide, I think in 24 countries. So there are different places where you can find doulas if you feel that that's the kind of support you want for your birth. Okay. Number 4, natural pain management. That's equal to being your coping mechanism. Okay. Things may at times feel overwhelming. It's important to have your toolbox of tricks to help you cope with the demands of pregnancy and labor. Now, some mothers decide that as soon as they walk into that room, they want an epidural, which is fine as long as they have assessed the benefits and risks of it and they're okay with that. That's fine. Now, the thing with that is an epidural won't work for everybody. And it's important that if it doesn't work for you, you have a backup. You have other mechanisms, other coping mechanisms that you can employ that will help you get through that time. You don't want to be left high and dry, so to speak. So even if you know you're going to walk into that room and demand an epidural, it's important that you still have your toolbox of tricks up your sleeve, ready to employ for whenever you might need it. Okay. Again, we have a doula here because a doula will be able to help support you with everything that's on this list. Okay, so some helpful mechanisms. Deep breathing, deep abdominal breaths. Okay. Hydrotherapy, massage, acupressure, aromatherapy, rebozo. Okay, these are all things, and there are many more. This list is extensive. There are many, many things that you can employ. So this is about you thinking about things that help you to cope in your daily life, things that help you to relax. Have a think about those things that you lean on for some comfort, for some relief. What are those things? Have a think about those and make a list. Okay, these are just some considerations that you can have in your toolbox of tricks to help you cope and to help you have different coping mechanisms. Okay, next we have step 5, informed consent and antenatal education. That's equal to consent. Now, consent is very, very important. Anything that happens during your labor and birth and your pregnancy, as a matter of fact, needs to be discussed with you thoroughly before anything happens. Okay? Now, the saying goes, if you know better, you do better. This is a vitally important life stage for both you and your baby. Every decision that is made has both positive and negative aspects. Become a good birth consumer and conduct evidence-based research. Okay, now what do we mean by this? Okay, informed consent. Let's take a look at how you feel about some of these routine interventions and number them to scale their relevant importance to you. So many of these things that I'm about to list are routinely offered to women during their labors and birth. And many times women won't really know what they mean and what the effects of them are, what the repercussions can be, what the benefits are and what the risks are. Many times a woman isn't fully informed to give informed consent about what these things actually mean. Some things that need to be considered are vitamin K injection, newborn vaccines, continuous electrofetal monitoring, IV fluids, newborn eye drops, varied birth positions, routine episiotomy, delayed cord clamping, immediate skin to skin, delayed first bath, artificial rupture of membranes, mother-centered pushing. Right, now have a look at all of these things. These are things that you'd need to consider and you'd need to know the benefits and risks of before embarking upon any of them. So what I'd like you to do is have a look at these and mark them down 1 to 10 on a scale of how important these things are that you definitely want or you definitely don't want for yourself or your child. There are still many more things. This is not an extensive list. There are still many more things that can be on here, but this is a starting point for you to consider. It's really about getting you to think about the things you want and you do not want. It's about streamlining a vision that you have and then working towards attaining some of those things on there. Okay. Now, I hope you found that beneficial. Just for you, as a thank you for taking the time to go through this webinar, I truly hope you're able to implement some of the steps mentioned so you can create your gentle birth experience. I'm offering 20% off the Inherent Birth Signature Antenatal course when you quote the code EVERWEB161. Okay. For more information, you can email info@inherentbirth to find out about the 5-class series Inherent Birth Signature Antenatal course that we offer. I hope you benefited today. And thank you very, very much for spending time with us today.